What's going on, everybody? Let's talk about it. This is not another Stop the Violence video. This is not a What's Wrong with the Youth video. This is not We Need to Do Better video. All right, let's talk about it.
A rap artist is behind bars after a shocking arrest as authorities accuse him of being connected to an alleged murder for hire plot. Chicago rapper Durk Banks, better known by his stage name Lil Durk, was arrested yesterday after allegedly attempting to flee the country, and at this time he's being held in a Broward County jail in Florida, awaiting transfer to the U.S. Marshals. According to the FBI affidavit, the Grammy Award-winning rapper is charged with conspiracy to commit murder for hire. His arrest comes on the same day as federal prosecutors announced in California the charges of 5 other.
So everybody is asking why, how could he do it? Why is he so stupid? All of the stereotypical questions that get asked, right? Oh, he has $1 million, he's millions of dollars, he's made it out the hood, this and that. And I think what people fail to address is that money doesn't. That's if the person actually has what you think they have, because at the end of the day, you don't have access, unless you're his accountant, a manager, or something like that. You don't have access to the financial records. You don't know how much liquidity is in the account. So you're just looking at videos and you're seeing, all this fancy jewelry. You're just assuming that they're rich and they have houses and that they own all of this stuff. And listen, by 2024, you should be sensible enough to know that all that glitters is not gold. That a lot of this stuff is flash and image. Right? I wouldn't be surprised if they said he had $1,000 in his bank account. So I don't fall for the video with the McLaren, a Bugatti, or somebody wearing expensive chain. I don't know if it's real, if it's not real. I don't get caught up into all of that stuff. But what I do know is that money and fame does not mean that you're smart all of a sudden. So if you grow up without an education, and I'm not even necessarily talking about college or anything like that. If you grow up without an education, you grow up without mom and dad in the picture, right? Because it is documented that his father was a gangster at one time and had spent 20 plus years in prison. You grow up without that grounding. You grow up without the knowledge, the education that's necessary, and then you all of a sudden have access to a whole bunch of money. It's just gonna merely magnify who and what you are. All right. So if you had a gangster mentality before the riches, you're not gonna get rich, and then all of a sudden, the gangster mentality is gonna go away. It's just gonna merely magnify whatever your vice is. This should be well known, but I'm just putting it out there for those that might not know it, right? The money is just merely going to magnify your vices. This is why people that have millions and millions of dollars, right, have all type of problems, right? Addiction problems, commit suicide, things of that nature. And what do the poor people say when they hear this? Oh my God, why would they commit suicide? They had everything, or they had such a beautiful wife, or they had a big house. Because the poor people don't know that these things will not create any type of happiness or any type of peace. Right? We think, since we're poor, since we don't have these things, that, oh, if I had that, right? If I had a McLaren, if I had Lamborghini, right? If I had millions of dollars, everything would be good, because we're focused on the problems that we have, right? We're like, man, we got to pay mortgage or rent. We got to make the car payment, have to get the groceries, child support, whatever the situation is. We have those things that are constantly before us, right? Those are the problems that we see regularly. So most of us think that, man, if I had all those solved, I'll be good. The reality of it is that if all those problems were solved, then there will be some different problems, right? Because say somebody like that, right? Say use Lil Durk for example. Somebody like that, say he does have millions of dollars and all of this stuff. Now he has to worry about his personal protection, right? Because now people want to come and get that money, right? It's like Raekwon said in the in Cream, right, in the Wu-Tang song, right? Half of not Cream, I'm sorry, I think it was Incarcerated Scarfaces. He said half of us will try to make it, the other half will try to take it. So now you have the money, but now people are plotting on you. People are grabbing, what they can. People are scamming on you. So now you have a whole new set of problems. And not only do you have to worry about your own security, now you have to worry about security of family members, right? Somebody might kidnap your nephew or something and demand money, etc., etc. These things have been going on for ages. So it's a deception to think that somehow you get all this money and then you're going to become, either virtuous or smart all of a sudden, or that your problems are going to go away. So the fact that this happened is no surprise to me. Let's go on a little bit more. And I want to get into
for the
something
attempted
else.
murder of Georgia rapper Quando Rondo, whose real name is Taquayan Bowman. Prosecutors say those 5 men all have ties to Chicago gangs. And
so here we go again. I mean, how, it's cliche at this point, right? Black on black crime. It's just crime, first of all. So it's just cliche at this point. But I want to show another video because I'm sure all of you are familiar with this story. But I just wanted to emphasize the fact right at the beginning, man. Like a lot of people bring, oh, you had everything. How could you do this? Oh, you fumbled the bag, this and that. And again, it just shows ignorance on many people's part, because the idea is you want to be educated, and this is a good thing for young people if you're listening. You want to if you want to become rich or wealthy, get prepared beforehand. Because what's going to happen is the money is going to magnify whatever whatever are the dominant aspects of your personality. So if you're like, have like a lustful nature, you're into women and you're poor, all right, you might not be able to get that many girls because you're broke, right? It's like Cool G Rap said in Road to the Riches, right? He said, all the chicks wouldn't speak because my checks were weak. 1989. And right? So he was saying basically, man, as long as he was like working at the Key Food store, he had that in his nature. He wanted all the right, quote unquote, chicks. He wanted that, but his checks were weak, so he couldn't get them. Right? But guess what happens now? All of a sudden you get $1 million. You sign for $500,000. Now that vice is now you're gonna be able to go headlong into it. And at first it's gonna seem like you're fulfilling your dreams and fantasies, but it's a trap. And that, of course, that's how the proverbial devil works. Right here, I'm gonna give you all the world. Just now you just gotta bow down to me, right? That's like that old parable with Jesus Christ, when Satan took Jesus and showed him, right, all the kingdoms of the world. He said, hey, you can have all of this, you just gotta bow to me. And that's basically what happens. These situations, you think that, hey, you're gonna have all of this stuff, but then at the end you're gonna be bowing down to Satan. You're gonna be trapped in something that you can't get out of. You're gonna be bought and owned. And what happens is a lot of these celebrities, we get to see that that manifested, right, in various stories, where we see these people, right, that we think have these great lives. They're breaking down, they're crying on Instagram. You see, back before the social media, you weren't able to see the heartbreak, so to speak. You wouldn't see these meltdowns because the media had more control. All right, the powers that be were able to hide whatever indiscretions there were. You think all of this like Diddy stuff just started with Diddy, right? Or all the stuff they accused Bill Cosby of, and all this stuff just started there? Like, come on, like wake up already. Everybody's making all these Diddy jokes. And that's another thing too, right? They want to put everything. They want to make like a black person the face of all of these indiscretions, right? It's R. Kelly, Michael Jackson, this and that, with the kids, R. Kelly, P. Diddy, right? Jaguar writes out there, Jay-Z, right? He's next, this and that. It's interesting that there's no person of any other ethnicity or black background being discussed. You know, since people like to go in the past and cancel, what about Hugh Hefner? You mean to tell me that all those years with Playboy, there was never any any accusations or any assaults, things of that nature? Right? I'm trying to use my words sparingly because of YouTube and this the community policies, but you know what I'm saying? Where's the scandal about that? Now, logic and reason tells me that there probably were a lot of things that went on, but they just got swept under the rug. Right? It's just like a gang. As long as you're in, right, all those discretions will be overlooked. But as soon as you step outside or you're kicked outside, then everybody's gonna, see. And so there was a time, like definitely pre-internet, where if you wanted to learn about a celebrity, you just had to read whatever was in, the magazines. So they kind of were able to sculpt and craft the image, right? So these celebrities, like if look very moral and righteous. It depends on what kind of image they wanted to present. But then with the age of social media and Instagram and all of these different things, everybody having a camera, everybody's a reporter now, everybody has a podcast or at least access to it. Even a guy like me, right? I can talk to you right now, right? If this was 1983, I couldn't talk to you, right? But this is 2024, so now some unknown guy from Staten Island, New York, shout out to the Wu-Tang, can talk to you and reach, potentially millions of people. So now you see this thing happening, the phenomenon happening, where you see like celebrities on Instagram, right? Now you see the celebrities without makeup, right? Looking just mundane, right? You see them breaking down on Instagram, crying, all type of stuff, talking about the addictions and all type of things, right? It's like the covers have been pulled back and exposed, right? So it's just a different era. So am I surprised that this situation took place? No, I'm not, because what do you think? Like, okay, he has millions of dollars. Again, if you have a weed problem, right, and you're poor, all right, you're gonna work your little job or whatever, and you have only a certain amount of extra income, disposable income that you could spend on that. So okay, it's not gonna seem too bad. But let's say or something, you win a lotto, you got millions of dollars. What are you gonna do? It's gonna amplify it. Right now, you might be out of your mind. So just imagine you're a celebrity, whatever. You get hooked on pills. Now you got unlimited access. Boom. Now you're a fiend. All right, and that's what happens to a lot of these celebrities. How long ago was it where the one of the stars from that old hit show Friends, right? He got caught up and sent to the afterlife, because of his addictions. All right, it's no joke. If you have millions of dollars and you have vices, that's the worst. So the vices don't just have to be like painkillers and drugs and things of that nature. You have mental vices, right? Character flaws. For instance, you might have like problem with women where you have to have women all the time. So then you get caught up with that. So now you mess with all of these women, boom, 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 and next thing you know, you run into the wrong woman. You either getting set up or you getting caught with one of those, those charges. Right? You might not have done it, but usually the law, in the public usually lean on the side of women, just like off top. The crying and stuff, and it's just our nature, right? Believe women first. Of course, that's starting to change. Of course, like a lot of stuff's getting exposed now, but traditionally, that's how it is. Just think of what happened with Mike Tyson back in the day. I'm not saying he was a good guy or anything like that, but one thing he said, I always remembered. He said, I did a lot of bad things in my life. A lot of things I probably should have went to jail for. He said, I never, what, with that girl. And this is after he did the time and everything. He's like, nah, I never did that. So again, it's not to say, oh, he's righteous, this and that, but all I'm saying is that vices, if you have certain vices, these things are just gonna get amplified, right? So if you like a gang member and you're into that lifestyle and you get millions of dollars, you just gonna step up your game. You're not gonna be like, oh, okay, now I'm gonna be righteous all of a sudden. It's like that scripture says that he who is righteous, let him continue to be righteous, right? So it's like whatever path that you're on, you get the millions of dollars or whatever, you still gonna continue on that path. So don't be surprised when you see these dudes going, getting into these situations. Don't ask an obvious question like, how could they be so stupid? The reason why they can be so stupid is because they never had education to begin with. So why would you assume that they would be like smart somehow, or have this type of knowledge? Some people say, I've seen on some other channels where they'll say like, oh, that's because they don't listen to the OGs, this and that. It's like, listen, man, with this, it's like them. Why would they want to listen to somebody that been locked up themselves for 20 years? That's like the worst advice ever. They're like, oh, they've been through it already. Yeah, that's why. That's the perfect reason not to listen to someone like that. You want to listen to someone that's never been through that period and just tell you to stay away from the period. Like, listen, what are your goals in life? Do you want money? There's different ways of going about it and getting it legally, and having the same amount of money without all the hardship and without prison. Right? Let me show you this other video while I continue talking, so it's just not like this screen right here. Hold on one second. This is what I want to get into. I want to talk about music, the power of music, underestimated. Shout out to this channel, Thing 3000. This is all the rappers that DIE'd from 1995 to 2022. There's like a lot of yeah, I don't know if I could put it on because of the copyright with the music, but I'm gonna try it though. Let's see what happens. But yeah, it's wild because I'm gonna turn it down. But a lot of it, most of this stuff, like if you look up in the left corner, it tells you like what took them to the afterlife. Most of it is by the hands of your own people. So the crazy part about it is I'm not gonna say nobody because obviously I'm gonna talk about it right now, but I don't hear it too much presented And what it is the power of the music, the power of environment, right? The power of brainwashing. And the thing is, music is very, very powerful. There's a lot of studies on music, how music can, you know, create like neural pathways. It's like a beat, and the sound is like water, like flowing through like a canyon or something. And over many years, it'll create like like a pathway. It'll create a river, right? The water will literally carve its path, and that's how you get like a river, or a stream or something like that. And music is very powerful like that. This is why companies use jingles, companies use songs, right? One that comes to mind right now is the McDonald's, that ba 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 ba, right? These little tunes, because the tune, you hear that over and over again, and that like creates, it kind of carves out like a pathway, in your brain, so to speak. And in that pathway, once that pathway is created, it's like the message is inserted. So you have ba 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 ba, and then what's the message inserted is the slogan, "I'm loving it," and of course it's all associated with McDonald's. But they understand the power of music and the power of messaging. This is why you shouldn't listen to music that, or constantly anyway, right? If you can't help yourself, but you shouldn't listen to music constantly that talks about violence, drugs, putting down women. If you listen to that constantly, right, the beat is gonna create that. The beat and the music is gonna create the pathway, right? And then eventually those words, those messages are gonna get in your subconscious at some level and have an effect on the way that you conduct yourself, the way that you dress. It all happens gradually. It takes years. This is why you can go back in time and you can say, let's use hip hop for example. If you go back to say like the late 90s, we won't go all the way back to like the early 80s, but if you go back to like the early 90s, right? Like in the 90s, and look at the fashion, right? You'll be shocked, right? You look at some old like Dipset or something like that, you'll see how baggy the clothes were, right? And back then you had that style, right, where the clothes were real baggy, and the pants would be hanging off the butt and all of that stuff like that. Okay, this was something, matter of fact, right here in this Flavor in Your Ear video, you see how baggy everything was. But then eventually the skinny jeans, right, the tight, there's the pants hanging off, right? And we know what that means, right? The pants hanging off the back, the whole, the root right here, the pants hanging down with the whole ties to the prison industrial complex. So you show the images, you show the you have the images and the words constantly, constant, right? And then you act surprised when the top rapper, right, that's out, Lil Durk, like one of the most popular rappers, gets caught up in a scandal like this. Like, where's the surprise? I'm not seeing the surprise. Why? It's inevitable. You're worried. You're wondering why all your kids. And again, if the shoe don't fly, if the shoe don't fit, don't wear it. If it don't apply, let it fly. You're wondering why your children why the youth in gangs and all this stuff like that. It's easily tied. It's easily tied with the messaging. You gotta look at it like this, right? You have your conscious and subconscious, right? Your conscious is just is dealing with things that that you're dealing with right now, right? So my conscious is dealing with the screen, right? I'm looking at the screen right now. I'm coming off the top of my head, freestyling of things that I want to say. Okay. The subconscious is almost like the program running in the background. That's gonna have, like my values and things that I'm not even thinking about, but just like deeper feelings, right? About life, about work, about education, women, things like that, relationships, etc., etc. These are things that aren't on the forefront, right? The conscious is things you're thinking about right now, like, oh, I need to, turn the light on. Oh, it's too dark in here. It's too cold. Let me turn the heat up, etc., etc. And so what it is that you listen to this music and you say, oh, yeah, I'm not going to go out and do that. Like, I'm not going to go and, rob a bank or something like that. I'm not going to do that, right? But what happens is over time, and especially when you're young, because these messages are geared for young people. You got to remember, your brain is developing. Your kid's brain is developing, right? He's 7 years old, 6, 7 years old. His brain is developing. He's hearing these messages, and he's not capable of even doing any of this stuff. He's too young. Right? He doesn't have access. But it's in his mind. It's getting it pumped into his mind subconsciously. So that when he's older, at a certain point, right? It's like a ticking bomb. When he's older, at a certain point, these things will manifest. All the stuff that he's been listening to since he was 5, 6, 7 years old, all of a sudden he's 13, 14. All of a sudden he doesn't want anything to do with school anymore. All of a sudden, he has a change in attitude. All of a sudden, it's like, man, Jamal don't like school no more. I don't even understand. Like, he used to love school. He used to love playing outside in the playground after school, stuff like that. He used to love going to school. Now he don't want to go to school no more. He don't want to do his homework. See, what happens is, it's like a seed. Now the seed begins to grow little by little, but you don't really notice it. Then you get 13 to 14 years old. Next thing you know, he don't want to listen to you no more. He don't respect. Now he wants money right away. And you wondering, like, man, where did all of this come from? It starts very, very at a very young age. And what happens is, the adults are looking at it like, oh, it's just entertainment. Like, I can watch, I could watch a movie. I'm not going to, just because I saw Scarface with Al Pacino, I'm going to go out and, try to get work and get on the street and all that stuff like that. And that's the difference. The difference is you're an adult. Your values are already established, right? You're already mature enough. You already have life experience, so you can deal with the messages. But put yourself at 9 years old, 10 years old, and you're listening. Just put yourself at those ages and think about what kind of music was out at the time. Maybe you grew up and, maybe you were 10 years old around the year 2000, and that was when Cash Money records was out. Master P, like in the 90s, right? Late 90s, right? Before Cash Money and stuff like that. I'm sure. Get in the comments too. If you know somebody or if you had experiences, tell me how if the music affected you. Did you have some music that you listened to that inspired you in the game? Did you put on that BG, right? That Thugged Out record, BG, while you were hustling. You listen to Wu-Tang back in the day, or you listen to drill music at some point, and that inspired you, whether you still in it or you out of it. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna get another joint because it's crazy because that was 2024. This is 2023. Right? All the rappers that went into the afterlife. It's wild. Yeah, unfortunately I can't really play this music. They try to hit you with that copyright joint. Let me fix this though real quick. Hold on 1 second. But again, the music is very powerful and is underestimated. Right? The culture has more effect on the kids than you as a parent. You got to think how things are set up, right? You working, say you're a single mom, right? It's all connected, and it's like a big rabbit hole. But and I don't want to get into that right now because I'm just talking about this particular subject. But again, you have the parent, just real quick, right? You had the parents for whatever reason separated. You had the broken home, mom and dad at work, right, busting their tail trying to make ends meet. Therefore, the kid is not being taught, raised properly. Kid's still growing older. The kid's still developing. Who's raising the kid? The kid's being raised on the music, right? The kid's being raised by other older kids that have been affected by the music. And when you look at it, it's all the same. It's like the same thing over and over, right? It's like basically when I see a picture of one of these rappers like holding the stack of money next to their head, I'm like, okay, that guy is either DOA or it's just a matter of time. Cause it's like it's almost like it's predictable at this point. I mean, it's much easier to predict than the stock market. Because it's not the music per se, right? It's the message, it's the messaging, right? If you just constantly talking about, right, the sword, right, living by the sword, so to speak, that's what's gonna get you, at the end of the day. So all of this surprise, all of this, oh my God, I can't believe Lil Durk, that all of this is crazy to me. Because that's the lifestyle that's constantly getting promoted. And then, of course, if somebody came from a certain situation, never got educated, never went through any type of transformation, what do you expect? Unfortunately, what happens with a lot of people is they got to get locked up. They got to do 15 years, and then they turn their life around inside. But then when they come out, of course, with all the strikes against you and all that stuff like that, then it's hard to get employment. Or then you have all those different barriers, the different barriers to deal with, right? But it goes to show that once you change the messaging, right? It is possible. It is possible to change. But unfortunately, the messaging, at least for as far as our young people are concerned, the messaging in the music is basically just violence, promiscuity, fast income, right? Nobody's saying nobody's saying, hey, work hard, become doctor, lawyer, none of that. Everything is fast, get it, quickly, glorifying, all the things that we know. And the thing is, you could see it's like a program, right? It's like a virus because it's spread all around the world, right? Drill music started in Chicago. Yeah, drill in Canada, drill in England, all over the place. And guess what's happening? The same stuff is happening in those countries too, in those communities. Same color of people too. So if you don't think it's the music, if you don't think it's that it has an effect, really think again about it. And I really urge you, for the sake of the community and for your kids' sake, is don't let them listen to that kind of music. Don't let your daughters listen to the to the P rap. Because those people have been bought and sold already. Whatever image they putting out there, 9 out of 10 times, they're not even like that. It's just an image. They just putting it out there like just they want to get paid, so they're willing to do whatever they have to do. It reminds me of some of these foreign governments, right? Especially in some of these African countries, right? You get these people that the government, right, and all the family members are rich, multi-millionaires, et cetera, right? Because they've been paid off by these transnational corporations, to create favorable legislation so that they can mine in the country, right? Rob the country of the gold resources, and ship it back to their own nations. And meanwhile, the economy of the country is just totally destroyed. The unemployment rate is like 60%, right? People are like starving, but the only people that are really doing well are the people like in the government, right? The top tiers of the government, because those people have been bought and sold. Yeah, they look like you and everything like that, but they working for them. They bought and sold, and all they care about, hey, I'm good. And then when the people start like rising up and getting frustrated, that same government that the government that basically will come and back those leaders that sold out. They'll give them the military strength that they need to keep the people down, so that they can keep whatever operation they have going on, as far as the mining and things like that. And that reminds me of the same thing with these entertainers and stuff, is that they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing is wrong, but all they care about is what they've been promised, and they're willing to do whatever it takes. Now, the messed up part is that they often don't get what they're promised. What they've been sold is an illusion. Remember when I spoke about the parable of Satan taking Jesus and showing Jesus all the kingdoms of the world. Oh yeah, I'll give you all of this if you just bow down to me. So these entertainers is much the same thing. Oh, you'll be a superstar. You'll be a millionaire. You'll be rich. You and your family will never have to worry about anything again. It's the same thing. The promises are made, and they think like, okay, I'm gonna sell out. I'm good. My family's gonna be good. I'm gonna sell out. And what happens? They sign a contract, and they do all of that selling out. They do all of that. They put on the gangster startup kit. They do all of this, all the stuff they were supposed to do, and then they wind up with nothing at the end. Right? So going back to this situation. So you pushed, and speaking of, this particular rapper that's in the news right now. So you pushed all the violence, right? You pushed all of that, with those songs, get it back in blood and all that stuff like that. You pushed all this violence back and forth, people knocking each other off, this and that. And like I said, I don't know how many. I mean, there's hundreds of rappers. I mean, it could just keep going on and on with these videos. There's hundreds of them. Probably in Chicago alone, hundreds of them. But so you sold out, right? You sold out. You think you're gonna get all this millions of dollars and stuff like that. But what they didn't tell you is that they're gonna take it right back. And that's the part that you you didn't realize. They did give you the millions of dollars, right? They did. The devil did fulfill his contract. He gave you the millions of dollars, gave you the fame, you got the women, you got all that stuff you wanted, you got all the medication that you wanted, you got everything that you wanted, all the power, right? Right? You could say this about, Diddy, whoever, right? You got all those things. You got all those things. But now they're gonna take it back from you. They're gonna take everything from you. You see? You didn't think about that. So now you did all this selling now, you did all this stuff like that. You destroyed, I'm not gonna put it on one person, but you participated in the destruction of several generations, right? You weren't on the uplifting side. You did all of that, right? Yeah, okay, you drove the McLaren, you drove the Lamborghini. Okay, fine. The Ferrari, all that stuff. You wore the finest designer clothes. But now what do you have? Now you back to square one. You did all that damage, you back to square one, and you have nothing. Nothing to show for it. Everybody's still poor. You lost a whole bunch of friends, either to prison or to DOA. Your brothers, relatives. For what? Just throw this one up. This going 2015. Right? For what? And that's the thing. And so when you think of that, there's no need to wonder, why do these dudes have so much problems with addiction? Why are they drinking so much? Right? Why are they doing random stuff? Why are they on Instagram just bugging out? Right? Because the soul is crying out. The spirit is crying out. Right? They did all that selling out. They're going through the same thing that these man, I wish I could just say the words I want to say, but I'm the YouTube, but they're going through the same thing that these P stars, right? They're former P stars, right? That's what we'll use. Hopefully you can figure it out. We'll use corn. Yeah, corn. These former corn stars go through, right? That regret, right? The Mia Khalifas of the world. Who else is this tick on YouTube? Lana Rhodes, right? These type of people, right? They have that regret. See, you can't partake of the devil's fruit and not expect to pay for it. And that's the problem. See, there was a time where people knew, like, okay, matter of fact, there's a song by Blue Oyster Cult, and in the song it goes, the lyrics go, I'm just coming off the top of my head, I think it's called, I think it's called I'm Burning For You. I think that's the song. Yeah, by Blue Oyster Cult. And one of the lyrics go, I'm living for giving the devil his due. And there was a time where people understood, like, hey, if I take this road, this is what it is. Okay, I'm gonna have all this fame, fortune. I'm gonna have all these things, but hey, there's gonna be a time where I'm gonna be called in account. I'm gonna have to pay for this in one way or another. And people just accept that. So what I'm seeing now is these people, having this regret and all this stuff like that. They don't want to give the devil his due. They wanted to take everything, when they wanted to take, all the opportunities, take everything, throw whoever under the bus, have unlimited, ability to, trample, destroy people, abuse people, things like that. They wanted all the power that came with being a servant of the devil. They wanted all the power, but now when it's time to pay the price, now it's tears. Now it's, I want to be looked at as a person, right? Now it's, and I'm talking about these corn stars like, Mia Khalifa and things like that. Now it's, I just want to be respected. I just want to, be married and have a regular life. So basically, that falls under the old hey, I just want to have my cake and eat it too. It doesn't work like that, right? You did all of that, you made yourself a public figure, right? You served the devil. You made yourself a public figure. You had promoted this lifestyle of promiscuity, right? And made it look like it was a good thing to do, to be with multiple sexual partners and things of that nature, and promoted this throughout the world, right? And those that had vices, gladly watched and participated along with you and gave you their energy. And by them giving you their energy and transferring a little bit of power, it's like taking, say you took a penny from everybody in the world, right? Let's say the population of the world right now is at 8 billion. You took a penny from everybody in the world, you're going to be rich. So just think of that in spiritual terms. Everybody that watched those videos, right, that seen you, whatever, I don't know, because I don't watch them videos, but seen you with, whatever, 10 guys or whatever in the video and all that stuff. Because, I see the still pictures and stuff. I go on Twitter, I see the still pictures. It'd be like 7 black dudes, like, around and all that stuff, near the couch and all of that, You know what I mean? So you got to figure every person that watched the video, right, and enjoy, give a little bit of their spiritual energy, and in the form of thought and vibration to that person. And what that does is build them up. That's how they become famous. Cause that's all fame is, right? It's just an elevation. What's elevating them is that the people are elevating, right? And that's a reflection of the wickedness in society. But that's a different topic, because at the end of the day, we do love the wickedness, because we're wicked as a society, right? We love the drama. We look at these rappers and stuff. We look at them as like movie characters, right? So when they get knocked off, we look at it as like a movie character, or like a game of like GTA, right? We looking at it like it's not even real. Like, everybody gets on Twitter, they send you read these guys' Twitter and stuff, it'd be like RIP, da 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 da, and then it's like next, and then next thing you know, it's it's on to the next. I remember when the FBG Duck thing happened, man. I remember it was like, wow. And then it was like, man, it's like that faded out the media, right? I remember when the King Von thing happened, same thing. It's big for like a little while. Everybody tries to solve, the case, like what happened, all this stuff, and then it goes away. And then, like, you have the Nipsey Hussles. I mean, you could go on and on and on, right? Young Dolph, like all these guys, man. Rest in peace. Triple X, right? Extentacion, right? All of these. I mean, it's so many, and unfortunately, these guys are all young, right? They all represent the future, right, in some capacity, and it's just like it's crazy. You don't see this happening in any other genre of music, or any other group of people, right? Where it's just so constant, and it's just getting worse. And unfortunately, it used to just be something where it was more of like just the poor people, happened amongst the poor. But once you made it out, right, that was the whole thing, right? You make it out, and then you leave it alone, right? But now in this new era, there is no making it out. What they do is they take it with them. That's the only way I could describe it, right? The desire is not to, I need to get out these projects. See, when I was a kid, it was like, me, my older sister, like once we came of age, because when you're real young, you don't realize you're poor. But then when you realize you're poor, you start seeing there's a bigger world than just the projects. You're like, man, I'm trying to get up out of here. Like, there's, it's better. There got to be something better than this. And so the goal becomes to do what you got to do and come up out of that and live a better life. But what seems to be very prominent, as at least has been splashed on our headlines, right, with the Diddy situation, with this situation, you see these guys that they're proverbially made it, right, air quotes. They're out the hood. They have, right, mansions, and they have all the things that people desire, right, cars, and it's like, why would you have, any reasonable person is asking the question, why would you want to have anything to do with the law and getting tied up in the law? And I think the answer is very simple. It's the fact that they never left it, period. And all that happened is that the money, right, that talent generated, right, just because they might not be smart doesn't mean they don't have talent. And so somebody spotted, hey, you have talent, but you're not smart. So you're a perfect person to use, manipulate, right? We can use you to make millions of dollars. We can easily get you caught up in some legal, some legal difficulties that we can hang over your head for the next 10, 15, 20 years and discard you when it's time and extract all the wealth that you've generated, right? So you're like you're almost like you know what I mean? It's like the worst kind of deception. And that's what I see. These young brothers, right, generate all this money, millions and millions and millions of dollars, and then they end up getting it stripped away, and then they're shipped off, into slavery, neo slavery. Right? It's very, very very sad situation. I have no solution. Right? I have no solution for it. My only suggestion is that you stay away from it. If you're young, if you're a parent and you have young kids, do not expose them to this. Their brains are still developing. Do not let them listen to this music. Don't let your daughters listen to the P music. The culture, you must change the culture. It's obviously, the culture is a culture of death if you haven't figured that out now. It's not a culture that's conducive to life. It's a culture of death. So anyway, that's my comments on that. Actually, I'm going to let this video finish right here. See, it's so many. See, this is list of rappers sent to the afterlife in 2015. How's the video 26 minutes long? And most of them unfortunately are black. Most of them under 30 years old. This is your talent. This is your talented people. Talented, but not educated. Talented, but without wisdom. And the reason why the wisdom is not there is because whoever brought them into the world probably wasn't around. It's a vicious cycle. And look at the name of this song, right? Catching Bodies. Again, putting that out there. All the young people, right, doing the same thing, bouncing around, right? Where's mom and dad? They're gone, right? Incarcerated. Maybe they were locked up, right? But it doesn't change the outcome. The outcome's still gonna be bad. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that subject. Like I said, the Lil Durk situation, like all the surprise, all the I can't believe knock it off. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's it's inevitable. It's inevitable. It's just like it's no, to me it's like smoke, there's fire. It's like you constantly talking about violence. You constantly, and like I said, it makes me think of these guys, man, the NBA young boys, like, people like that, and they make these Instagram videos, and you wondering, like, you sitting up in this mansion alone, just getting high and being on Instagram. That shows me the level of torture that these guys are going through spiritually. Right? That they're just right, they got everything you could want. And the best thing they could do to come up with is be on Instagram and just being high on lean and just crying and stuff. I remember the Cardi B video, like she's crying, she about a relationship and all this stuff like that. It's wild. It's wild. But again, when you just take a second to think about it, it's easy to understand why. It's that regret. It's the buyer's remorse. The buyer's remorse. I thought I was getting A, but they got me with the bait and switch. I thought I was gonna be loved and respected and famous and set for life, and I was gonna go off into the sunset and be a high flying jet setter, and my family was gonna be good, and I'll never have nothing to worry about, etc., etc. But it's not like that. Now you have everything to worry about. You don't have the riches you thought you would have. You don't have the security you thought you had. But you sold out though. Right? They got you on God knows what kind of videos doing what. So they got you under the blackmail. So now you just trapped. There's nothing else to do but go on, Instagram live, drinking lean, bugging out, saying wild stuff. I used to wonder. I remember back in the early 2000s, used to see they used to show like Lindsay Lohan, and she used to constantly be on drugs and bugging out. And then they show like Amanda Bynes, like the same thing, right? Like she's like on drugs and looking crazy. Same with Britney Spears, right? Looking crazy, shaving the head. And at the times, the tabloids, they always presented it in a way like, what's wrong with them? Like they always presented in a way like what's wrong with them? Like they must be crazy or something. They have all these opportunities and they're hard to work with. That was just all propaganda from the media to take the to take the focus off what caused them to take that route. They just want you to think that person is crazy, irresponsible, right? They've been given this great opportunity and they just don't know how to deal with it. They still don't know how to act, right? They're just out of line, and that's what they promote, right? What they're not telling you is the person been, what, RAP, blah, fill in the blank. They don't tell you that they've been, touched inappropriately as children. You gotta remember, like somebody like Lindsay Lohan, child actress, she was on what like Mean Girls and stuff like that, and that movie where she played like twin, like I forgot what it was called. Anyway, back in the day. See, they're not gonna tell you about what happened behind the scenes, right? The price that came with all that, the price that her parents were willing to pay. See, they used to sacrifice. You gotta remember, this all stuff is in plain sight. Thousands of years ago, right? They used to, sacrifice children, right, on altars. It talks about this in the Bible, and also various cultures have done this, right? It would sacrifice children at certain points, certain times of the year, right? To appease the gods. The gods were angry, right? You sacrifice, children. Right? I think in the Bible there's a scripture about sacrificing on the on the hands of Moloch. So they would have a statue of a god, right? A statue would be like I don't know, like iron or something like that, with the hands with the palms upward facing out. And we'll put somebody on those hands and then heat up the hands. So imagine what that felt like. Some hot iron hands, tied somebody to the hands, and it would be sacrifice. Right? But we're in a modern society, right? We're not sacrificing kids today, are we? See, it's all the same. Solomon said in Ecclesiastes, I believe, is attributed, there's nothing new under the sun. With that principle in mind, you understand the same sacrifices going on today is just in different form, right? There's no steel, cast iron statue in where you can go and look and see kids being sacrificed. No, it's sacrificed in different ways, right? So you have these parents that's willing to put their kids in these situations, right? They're sacrificing the kid. So then somebody like Lindsay Lohan or Amanda Bynes, right? They've been through these situations. Let's call them situations for, from who God knows how early in life. Then it's obvious that when they become 15, 16, they're going to look like they bugging out. You will bug out too. Because once you become of age of understanding and realize what has been done to you, now all the walls come crashing in. Think of Justin Bieber, right? He's just a kid when he was, air quotes, discovered. Right? I don't use the word discovered in them type of situations. Right? I look at they would sacrifice because the parents sacrificing the kids, they handing the kids over. Let's look at you look at R. Kelly, right? The parents. What was the involvement in the parents? The parents they sacrificed the kids to the gods. The singer is the god. They sacrificed the kid. Here, take them. Right? The industry, the movie producer, the executive, they're the god. They sacrificed them to them, and say, hey, do as you please. Right? So then what they do is later on when the kid grows up and comes of age and kids like acting out and getting shaving her head like Britney Spears back in the days, getting put in mental institution, they're like, oh, they're crazy. They're crazy. They're what's going on? We have no idea. Then they want to hit you with the mental illness nonsense. Oh, it's a mental illness. The imbalance. Let's give him some medicine. Same with Kanye, right? Kanye is crazy, right? He's crazy. See, it's happened so many times that now you should be privy to it. I can understand in 90s and 80s, right? The media wasn't, you didn't have as much access to social media. You didn't have access to social media. You couldn't see the examples over and over again. And the narrative was very well constructed and controlled, right? Right? So the media could tell you, oh, this actor passed away from surrounded by friends and family, and it was just a self deletion, right? Right, it was just a self deletion, right? They couldn't take it anymore. They left a note, right? They could tell you anything, right? But now with all cameras and people being privy to stuff and being having their cell phones, it's hard for them to always put the narratives out there like that. It's hard for them to always put them stories and people start picking apart the stories. People are still talking about Marilyn Monroe to this day because they know that it was more than meets the eye. But of course, back in them days, it's much easier to get away with stuff like that. Easy to get away with stuff like that today, obviously. But it's just not as easy. So, like I said, the sacrifice is going on like I said, but it's just not what you think. See, when people think sacrifice, they always think in terms of somebody passing away, like somebody passed away. Oh, that person was sacrificed, right? There's all type of different ways that it can take place. It's all different. All you do is have to expand your mind and look. But again, like I said, just going back to this topic in general, protect your children. That's all I can say. If you're an adult already, you should be able to, tell from right and wrong, and you looking at it as entertainment. You like the beat, whatever. I mean, listen, you should still, just for your mental health, like, just not want to pump negativity. Listen, it's just like anything else, right? You could eat. You're an adult, right? You could go and eat Mickey D's all day, all night if you want to, right? You know it's gonna make you unhealthy. With everything being mirrors of each other, right? In contrast, what will make you think that just like you have to take care of your physical health, you won't have to take care of your mental health, right? It's like, I mean, it's just obvious principles. So you listening to music that's constantly talking about lives being taken, women ain't this, women ain't that, I got 15 women, all this stuff like that. You constantly listen to that. It's like eating McDonald's mentally all the time. You know what I mean? Yeah, can you eat it every now and then as a treat? Like, all right, and it's not gonna have a big effect. But if you just listen to that all the time, eventually it's gonna have some type of effect on you. How you dress, how you walk, how you talk, all of that. How you perceive things, how you look at women. If you don't think corn has an effect on how you gonna look at women, think again. So many emphasize their physical health, but you also have to be aware of your mental health. And I'm not using the mental health term in the way these people use it, like, oh, call Better Health on YouTube and all stuff like that. Nah, I'm saying, like, you have to just be careful of the things that that you consume, like that you listen to, and read. Don't be watching Dateline all the time, and Snapped and all. I know you're wicked out there, so you have an addiction, you have an affinity for, you wanna to see, that the husband, knock the wife off, and the Scott Peterson, case and all this stuff like that, and what happened, and did he do it, and she missing and all. Like, yeah, you wicked, so you want to see that, but just think of the Mickey D scenario. Like, if you watch that all the time, if you watching that all the time, constantly giving your mind, to those things, I mean, it's gonna have an effect, just like your physical body will show an effect. You know what it's like to be out of shape. You're like, man, I gotta get in shape. Like, I'm starting to get a little belly or whatever. Oh man, my stamina ain't what it was. I need to get start jumping rope or running or something. You see, it's the same thing. It's the same thing mentally. It's just that since we can't see it, it's kind of like we neglect it more. But it's the same thing. You watching a Dateline and Oxygen and Snapped and all these things all the time. Next thing you know, you're like, man, paranoid. You going outside at night. You looking around corner, like you extra, extra focused. You scared to walk in the parking lot at night now, because you So these are things that definitely it can affect you even as an adult, but definitely more as kids. Because when you're a child, that's when you're being given the instructions. Just think of the child as like a blank, like I don't know, like SD drive or something like that, SD card or something like that. It's basically ready to be programmed. You could give the kid good values or bad values. It's a blank sheet. As I think it was, what was it, John Locke, tabula rasa, was that the philosopher who said that? A blank slate, so to speak. Kids have a blank slate. So if you're an absentee parent for whatever reason, and that slate is blank, it's like basically whatever messages that they're presented are gonna be imprinted in their mind and subconscious, and then that's when they grow up like this. They grew up jumping around, like animals. No disrespect to animals. They grew up jumping around, fighting over blocks and streets that they have no ownership of, and just doing the most ignorant, basically the most ignorant things possible, and just contributing to somebody else's job security, right? They keep the police employed, they keep the correctional officers employed, they keep the funeral parlors employed, they keep the medical staff definitely employed, right? Because all of these people, right? And they keep all of them working around the clock as they pursue this illusion of somehow committing and adhering to a lifetime of crime, and somehow they think they're gonna make it at the end, which is an amazing fantasy that somehow they're gonna make it. And I don't know what the idea of making it is, but I'm thinking they're gonna ride off in the sunset and basically, just be on these islands like you see in like some of these rap videos. They're gonna be in an island somewhere. They're gonna be being served drinks and getting massages and just counting stacks of money, and they'll be there with all their friends. And that's kind of like what the subconscious is telling them. That's the message that Satan is giving them. That's the equivalent of Satan taking Jesus around the world and showing them all the kingdoms of the world, right? That's the fantasy. Satan has said, hey, if you follow me, this is what I'm gonna do. You're gonna have your own island. You can have all the women that you want, all various shapes and colors and sizes, whatever you want. You can have all the money you want. And money is not gonna be an object. Have all the jewelry you want, and all your friends and family will also be with you, and guess what? And all your enemies, right? All your ops, they'll all be destroyed too. And then on top of that, you'll go back and you'll own the projects that you used to live in, and you'll be loved and respected, and you'll go to a ripe old age, and your name will never, and on top of this, your name will never be forgotten, and then on top of that, everybody will love your music, and you'll just be a legendary figure, right? That's the fantasy. That's the tour that Satan is giving, right? That's the fantasy. That, hey, you don't have nothing to worry about. This is what I'm going to give to you if you bow down and worship me. So the rapper says, you know what? Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bow down and worship you. I'm going to do the most egregious acts. I'm robbing, stabbing. I'm doing everything. I'm being promiscuous. I'm have multiple kids, multiple baby moms. I'm living reckless. I'm doing all of this stuff. And so they basically sell out. I'm going all out. I'm promoting the message. Yeah, do what you gotta do, right? The whole do as I will, right? Do everything, right? I'm doing all this stuff. And then after you do all of that, Satan said, here, this is what I promise you, right? But then 5 minutes later, right? Figuratively, 5 minutes later, Satan takes the bag back, and then you're standing there in shock, saying, wait a minute, you said I was going to have all this stuff. And Satan says, I gave it to you, right? You're like, yeah. And then he says, okay, deal is completed. Because he didn't tell you how long you were going to have it for. He said he was going to give it to you. So, yeah, they have their little moment of shine, don't they? Had that little moment of shine. Give you the bag for a second, and then take it all away. See, so Satan does complete his contracts. He does complete his contracts. He does fulfill what he said he's gonna do. He gives it to you. You're gonna take it right back, and everything, right? He's gonna take it back, and he's gonna take his hefty price that comes along with it. And so that's what you see. Some guys have a little longer than others, right? Some guys might have 20 years, nice 20-year run, right? But then the suffering is gonna come, right? It's time to pay the piper, as they say, right? Who is the piper, right? There's a lot of symbols, man, but like I said, these are just different. These are different videos altogether, but like I said, there's a price to pay, and when you see these things happening, it's just that it just mean that the devil's come to collect his due, and that's it. The devil come to collect his due, and that's what you see happening, and you seen it over and over. Whether it's an entertainer, whether it's these dealers, right? These guys might have these runs, man. These dealers that you look up to, right? These legendary dealers. I'm from New York City. I've heard about all of these different guys, different dealers. At one point or another, right? We all seen Paid in Full. We know that, we've known that story. All these guys, right? Right, the Alpos of the world, all these, right? We've seen all the story. We know how the story ends. Right, we know there's two paths that you can go by. Right, the quote, "Stairway to Heaven," right? Means something totally different here, though. We know that it ends in two ways, but for some reason, the devil is such a good salesman that we always think it's gonna have a happy ending.